It's been a busy week here in the Inland Northwest, so let's get you caught up with the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching. Over the next half hour, we'll take a look at some of the news you might have missed from the past week here in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the week's biggest stories.
We're still working to independently verify information reported late last week, but this morning, Spokane's police chief sent a statement acknowledging the misconduct investigation. Chief Kevin Hall says Spokane's police department has wrapped up internal investigations against two former officers, though he does not name them. Chief Hall says both were found to have been in inappropriate relationships with survivors of domestic violence while on duty. The chief says both officers quit and surrendered their law enforcement certifications. Chief Hall says the department took swift and decisive action once the misconduct allegations came to light, though he didn't add when that was. KREM 2 News was told to file a public records request for more information. We're still waiting to receive copies of the internal investigation report. Chief Hall declined an interview, but Monday morning's statement says in part the officers' actions violated department policy, betrayed community trust, and failed to uphold their sworn oaths. While this news is deeply disappointing, I have complete confidence in the integrity, compassion, and dedication of the men and women who serve Spokane every day, the chief said. He adds the majority of SPD officers uphold the highest standards. Now again, Chief Hall did not name those two officers or describe the allegations in his statement. KREM 2 will have more details when our public records request for that information is filled. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Monday was supposed to be the day for the latest court hearing in the murder of a Moses Lake mom, but it's now been pushed back 2 months to January, frustrating a family wanting justice.
What do you miss most about your sister?
I think just like all the small stuff, she would always come to me for a lot of advice. Her silly messages, her silly laugh.
More than 3 years after Yanira Cedillos' death, time has not been a friend for her sister, Lani Abundis.
A lot of people say, time heals all wounds. That's not the case. I always like to say whoever wrote that quote most likely has never lost somebody, right? Because I just feel like it's gotten worse.
The mother of 3 disappeared in March of 2022, just hours after celebrating her 30th birthday. Moses Lake police say they found evidence she was murdered in her apartment. Authorities arrested her ex-boyfriend, Juan Gastelum, as a suspect. Cell phone data from his phone later helped detectives find her body in Walla Walla County, just east of the Tri-Cities. Gastelum remains in the Grant County Jail, where he faces second-degree charges for both murder and rape. Now his defense is trying to get one of those charges dropped. According to Cedillos' family, the defense recently filed a NAPSTAT motion to take off the rape charge. The move blindsided Abundis.
The rape, the sexual abuse, all of that, he documented it throughout the entire time that he was there with her. So I just couldn't believe it. I was really shocked.
But the ones feeling the most pain, says Abundis, are her sister's 3 children.
Her oldest daughter is in dance. The auditorium is completely full during her recitals, and she's not there. The person that should be there, that she most wants, isn't there. Her oldest son, he ran for ASB for one of the representatives. He did his speech and won, and she wasn't there.
Now, almost 4 years later, the family still hasn't healed, and they likely won't until after a trial.
We are in fight mode right now. We will have time to get to the point where we're going to process, where we're going to grieve. But right now, it's just moving forward. We have a goal, and that's for him to be put in jail and pay for what he's done.
Right now, Abundis says the family's hopeful the case will go to trial in March, but as we saw already, that's not a guarantee. In the newsroom, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
In the dark of night along US 97,
it's just happened all very quickly.
64-year-old Annette Gore was killed after getting hit by 3 different cars, one of which law enforcement is still looking for.
And I just had a feeling it was her because of her commute.
Her daughter, Amy Smith, says walking this stretch of roadway was not new for her mother since she lived right next to the highway with Smith. She says Gore would typically walk everywhere since she didn't have a license. Which is why Smith says she dropped everything when she was told about the crash, quite literally right outside of her house, and saw firsthand what happened to her mother.
We were the first ones on the scene, minus the people who were involved in the accident, or the witnesses. It was difficult. We had to check her for a pulse because nobody had done that yet. And it was hard.
She was a great lady.
Crystal Keaton, Gore's niece, says Gore was a proud member of the Colville Confederated Tribe and made sure it was well known amongst the community.
As Annette would put, she was the last house on the reservation, and she was very firm at letting people know that. She was very, very fond of her place. It was right on the river. She loved being there.
Over the weekend, Keaton started a GoFundMe for Gore's family, raising over $3,000. Smith says although this process has been overwhelming, she is grateful for her family's and the community's support.
It's not easy, especially because where the accident happened was right in front of my house. But we're getting through it together. So,
remembering her mother, one story and one memory at a time.
and one thing that stands out with my mom is it was never goodbye. It was always see you later.
As we go to break, here's a check of your forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Each weekend, we walk you through headlines for the past week in the Inland Northwest. Both candidates say they're feeling positive after Tuesday night's initial drop of ballot results. Councilmember Jonathan Bingle is currently the incumbent. Sarah Dixit is his opponent. Bingle is in the lead, but only by a small margin. Those results on Tuesday night were only about 200 votes. When I spoke with them at their watch parties, both say they are confident, but the council member did say he was initially surprised.
I feel really good. We're up a couple hundred votes, and most of the votes are in. I expect that lead to hold, and so looking forward to the next 4 years.
I'm feeling really encouraged with how close the race is. It's the closest of the races that we're seeing right now. So just really trying to continue to push and make sure we're getting those ballots.
Now again, Bingle is in the lead, but only by a small margin. As of election night, he is just under 51%. Dixit is just over 48%. And again, that is a margin of about 200 votes. We'll continue to keep a close eye on this race as those ballots are continued to be counted and released. Reporting in Hilliard, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
It was cheers and excitement here at Spokane's Steam Plant restaurant as preliminary results rolled in Tuesday night, showing that both measures under Together Spokane are passing. State Senator Marcus Riccelli, a supporter for Together Spokane, says now the hard work begins. The results will not be certified until later this month, but organizers from the school district and Parks Department say this is the culmination of months of hard work. They say they raised more than $280,000 to campaign and knocked on more than 6,100 doors. For Spokane schools, if final results show voters approve the bond, work will start immediately on a new Adams Elementary.
Kids will actually transition to Camp Adams, the old Jefferson Elementary, in December. That transition will happen right away. That's how needed this construction project was.
And the Parks Department will start its first phase of a 20-year plan to update all park facilities, starting with additions to security and maintenance.
We want to get at least the first round of additional park rangers on board the first quarter of 2026 to get them hired out in our parks, out in our community for proactive patrolling. We'll have a series of new restroom facilities and playgrounds that will be installed. And then the first new park in Meadow Glen, North Indian Trail, will start construction in 2026 as well.
Those behind Together Spokane say that these preliminary results are not the end. They plan to, quote, chase down ballots. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Folks inside the Kootenai County Elections Office are still counting ballots as results are still coming in. Election staff say one of the biggest races in early voting this election season was the Coeur d'Alene mayoral race with 4 candidates running for the position. However, they say on election day, they're seeing a lot of last-minute voter turnout for the Post Falls mayoral race and Spirit Lake mayoral and council races. Staff pointed last-minute voters to different designated polling places across the county to get their vote in on time. However, the office did take absentee ballots until 8 p.m. Tuesday night. They say voter turnout this year is projected to be similar to 2023 at roughly 30%. The most up-to-date election results for positions here in North Idaho can be found on our website. That's KREM.com. Reporting outside of the Kootenai County Elections Office, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
National Guard troops on hold. Late Sunday, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from deploying federalized troops to Portland. Judge Karen Immerget granted a preliminary injunction until later this week, when she'll make a final decision.
What's important is that right now, we know at least until Friday, there will be a preliminary injunction, and it's highly likely that this ruling will turn into a permanent injunction.
The order comes after a 3-day trial that ended last week. The state of Oregon, California, and city of Portland sued the Trump administration, arguing the president overstepped his authority. The feds claim the president has the right to deploy federalized troops, and federal officers need help protecting the ICE building in South Portland. For months, a focal point of protest. In her ruling, Judge Immerget wrote, federal law enforcement, along with local law enforcement, were able to manage the situation by making arrests, and ICE officers were still able to do their job. Willamette University law professor Laura Appelman says Judge Immerget's order signals she'll likely issue a permanent injunction by the end of the week.
If there's a permanent injunction, that is not something that disappears in 14 days, but obviously by the very phrasing of it, it's permanent.
Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield celebrated Sunday's decision as a step toward truth and accountability, because for now, the National Guard still cannot be deployed to Portland.
At the Skagit Valley Neighbors in Need Food Bank, Director Steve Fox is fed up with the government shutdown.
Oh, it drives me nuts. You know, there's no reason for this.
Volunteers here are preparing for as many as 600 people at this week's food distribution, 30,000 pounds of food, numbers that have been steadily growing in recent weeks.
For us, it's just a matter of do we have enough food and how long will we have enough food.
Rural areas like Skagit County have a higher percentage of SNAP recipients than urban centers in Washington, making cuts here run even deeper. Nearly 16,000 people in Skagit County depend on federal SNAP benefits. That's roughly 16% of the population, double the number in King County, and well above the state average of 11%.
A lot of farm workers, a lot of low-income families, and a lot of families with a lot of children.
So they'll come over here and they'll come and grab their ingredients that they need.
While SNAP funding has been partially restored through the end of the month, other programs like SNAP Ed are gone for good. In its 33rd year, the program brought nutritional and financial information to 1.3 million people across the state every year, teaching people how to stretch their benefits to the fullest and make healthy food choices. The program closes permanently at the end of the year.
A recent study showed that for every dollar spent on SNAP Ed, over $5 is saved in the long run from reduced healthcare costs, educational attainment, life expectancy.
The elimination will hit rural counties especially hard, specifically farm worker families already struggling with food insecurity amidst immigration crackdowns.
For especially the farm workers, there's so much fear, even just to go to a food bank that is supposed to be a safe place to offer food.
Back at the food bank, Steve Fox worries how much longer he can continue with cold weather and the holidays just ahead.
That's what keeps me awake at night, is wondering if I'm going to have enough food for the next 2 or 3 food bank weeks. Right now we're in good shape, but if this continues, we'll be scratching and clawing.
Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
Well, the Airway Heights Police Department tell me that Corporal Mike Ziegler was hit by a driver who failed to yield.
He's in stable and good condition and good spirits today and healing up.
I am told the crash happened at the intersection of Hayford Road and 21st Avenue. Police say before Corporal Ziegler was hit, he was assisting with a felony hit and run crash along Hayford Road. His vehicle's patrol lights were on for traffic control when he was hit by another driver. Airway Heights Police Chief Brad Richmond called on the community to be more aware while on the road.
I think that, again, working with our community and educating them and then helping them to understand that there may be some enforcement actions if they don't take care and caution and aren't, being very aware, being off their cell phones and being attentive to drive while they're driving. Pay attention specifically and even more important during the inclement weather during the winter.
Chief Richmond tells me he is grateful for the multiple agencies who responded to the scene. He says Corporal Ziegler was trapped in his car after the collision. He added with the growth of Airway Heights and of the West Plains, the area has seen an increase in traffic and number of drivers out on the road. The Washington State Patrol is investigating this incident, and KREM 2 News is working on obtaining more details. I'm reporting in Airway Heights, Rican Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Welcome back to the KREM 2 News, a week in review. We hope you're having a great weekend. Let's get back to one more story you might have missed this past week.
Hardly a parking space left at a recent food distribution at Fairchild Air Force Base. 400 people served, according to Second Harvest.
Yeah, so we do about 400 mobile markets across the region. We serve 26 counties.
Those mobile markets have become a lifeline on wheels with the demand for food at nearly record rates.
We advertise there for about 250 families. We're having close to double that arrive. And we're doing everything we can to make sure everyone gets some food. This week, at pretty much every one of them, we've had to turn away 50 to 70 cars.
As the government shutdown enters historic lengths, food becomes a focus for families. Doris Slater at the Salvation Army is hoping to stretch her budget.
I bought a bag of rice. You can eat rice every day. Not that it's that nutritional, but I just don't know what I'll do.
And people waited for weeks, calling and emailing Second Harvest, hoping to get a chance to sign up for a Tom's Turkey Drive meal, which launched at 9 a.m. Monday morning.
There's always a heightened amount of people calling, asking, emailing. And this year, there's even a lot more because people, again, understand the need that they have and also the value of just being able to have maybe a Thanksgiving dinner and not having to worry about getting a hold of that food and taking a breath and just enjoying your family.
The Tom's Turkey Drive numbers tell a story of hunger here in the inland Northwest. Over the last 25 years, nearly 900,000 Thanksgiving plates have been full because of Tom's Turkey Drive. And that includes Thanksgiving meals for about 349,000 kids. This year, we expect to provide 8,500 meals with the Tom's Turkey Drive box, providing over 30,000 plates of food. But it is so easy to get lost in the numbers. But behind each plate is a person, often a child or senior who is impacted by emergent food needs.
It's scary. It's scary. I've been trying to help out my son, who's low income too, with some food, but now I can't help him. And of course, he doesn't make enough to help me either. And he's got a full-time job.
Tom's Turkey Drive, the impact is substantial, but it's just one piece as people struggle to put together daily meals in a time when need is plentiful and money is sparse. Reporting in Spokane, Laura Papetti, KREM 2 News.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on your schedule on KREM 2 Plus. Download and watch right now for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thank you for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review.